Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with more connecting fragments. Apparently we've done 18. We're getting there, man. Uh, yeah, first day at the public relations office. So we're now on real name Tomoe. Little Tomoe hint or tip to start us off. Love to see it. Maybe some more development when she's during that time period when she's in the public relations office. Real name Tomoe. Here we go. Yep. With Mino. Yo, what is this drip? New Tomoe drip just dropped. I guess since she's not a detective anymore, she can't just wear plain clothes. Now she's uniformed up. It's not bad, man. I kind of like the way she's dressed. I like the tucked in shirt, but like, you know, loose. You loosen it up so it's not tight. It's looking good. So this is Mino POV. Interesting. Tomoe had just finished assembling some paperwork and clipped it all together before presenting it to Mino. He flipped through it and pursued the contents, then lightly nodded and stamped the cover.
問題ない。ご苦労さん。しかしお前の字はなかなかに達筆だな。女性が書く文字ってのは総じて線が細いもんだと思っていたが、まるで彫り込んだみたいにはっきりしていて読みやすい。
Little compliments mixed in with the little sexism, but it is true. Women do have like, I don't know if it's neater writing, but isn't that like generally true? Like their writing looks lighter, probably because they're lighter. I don't know, lighter touched. Yeah, kinda. Yeah, it's a way to look at it. But with that face, you actually do kind of look manly. That's me. I'm a terrible writer. Handwriter. Yeah, just write. Not in terms of like writing a story, as in writing. What's it called? Is it just writing? Whatever. Tomoe responded with a smile and a laugh, then immediately spread open another file and began working on her next task. She had a fast pace while doing clerical work, and on top of that, she was able to grasp written material very quickly. Thanks to that, the time spent preparing documents for submission was significantly reduced, and the stagnant office work was progressing far faster than before. Mino recalled a week ago when he left Tomoe some work to do and headed out. Ooh, shit. Even though she was halfway to exhaustion and had dark circles under her eyes, her pupils were full of a fierce light that left quite the impression on him when she presented him with a stack of material. After giving that order, he went to an off-track horse racing facility in Shinjuku, and then went home, changed his clothes, and attended some meetings, and finally returned to the office around 3 a.m. Yep, we were definitely working hard. Alone in that large room, Tomoe raised her head and turned toward Mino with a pile of paper cups on her desk, giving off the smell of coffee. Yeah, so this is the first day. She's already popping off.
自宅に持ち帰るわけにはいきませんので。
That's the Tomoe, you know? Extreme work ethic.
真面目だね。
Despite Mino's teasing, he walked into the room expecting she'd still be here. Ooh. At the very least, he got the impression from their previous interview that she wasn't one to set work aside half complete or head home without first reporting to her boss.
まあ、第一段
Fair
階
enough, it
で
was
は
the
こう
right choice.
と。
Diligence is always appreciated.
そして、
書類できました。どうぞ確認をお願いします。
He accepted the two large volumes of documents and quickly scanned through the contents. And then Mino uttered a groan of astonishment.
やるな。
Didn't half-ass it. If she had finished by first thing in the morning, it would have been a great accomplishment. And even if she hadn't finished it all by then, Mino wouldn't have given her a passing score, or would have given her a passing score. But Tomoe had finished the work this early without even knowing if he'd be coming back or not. She was probably factoring in time to incorporate feedback and corrections from her boss. And what's more, the content itself was nearly perfect. It's just a godsend worker, man.
わざとバラバラに仕込んでおいたのに、しっかり読み込んでやがる。
Mino was certain she'd be valuable here. Someone with extreme pride in their work as a detective would have seen writing copy as an insult or a punishment and wouldn't have had any motivation to carry it out. They just copy the words as written without even reading the contents. It's a test of patience more than anything. But Tomoe carefully scrutinized it by reading the surrounding contents, so even the poorly scribbled notes were transcribed accurately. It's not just about having an earnest, hardworking personality. It's something impossible to do without strong pride and belief in your work.
それでどうでしょうか。
ああ、これでいい。ご苦労だったな。
ありがとうございます。それでは私はこれで。
見ない警部。
As Tomoe rose to her feet, Mino smiled and pointed at the back of the door to the left. It was a reward he had personally prepared in case she passed the
あ
test.
の奥にある部屋は仮眠室になってる。少し寝ていけ。
Look at that perplexed face.
心配するな。お前用に片付けてある。中からも施錠できるし、変な匂いもしないはずだ。
前野さん。
明日も早い。以後もしっかりな。
After saying that, Mino began to leave the room with the files in hand. As he turned away, he could see Tomoe's reflection in the glass door, deeply bowing down.
やっぱりそっくりだ。
Mino muttered that to himself and raised his hand as he left the area. It seemed like securing the nap room was going to be a difficult task in the future. Even so, that thought made him happy instead. And today marked 1 week since that day. It seemed like Tomoe had already become completely familiar with the public relations office. She brought in her own coffee maker for odor mitigation. Fair enough. And worked, what is it? Oh yeah, okay, I get it. And worked on tasks for Mino one after another, clearing the place up without any hesitation. It's true that she wasn't intimately familiar with public relations, so she sometimes made mistakes and had to be careful about certain things. But she listened obediently and always paid attention in order to avoid making the same mistake twice. And since she never missed her interim reports as a boss, he was left with peace of mind.
大したもんだよ。
Of course, as someone who had been working as a detective up until now, she still had her regrets and lingering attachments. And even if she never said it, it was easy to imagine she was baffled by the transfer. But even so, Tomoe never overlooked anything or showed any signs of laziness. In fact, she was enthusiastically working in her current role, treating it as something new to try out. With all that dedication, he was frankly impressed by her ambitious personality.
ああ、そういや未来。お前さん宛てに手紙が来てたぞ。
手紙？ああ、祖母からですね。
After saying that, Tomoe took the letter from Mino, checked the sender on the back, and nodded to say, I knew it. And when she opened it, one slip of paper and several sheets of stationery came from inside.
なんだそれは。
保険の徴収票です。
Huh.
もうすぐ年末調整なので送ってもらったのですが、自宅だと受け取るタイミングが分かりづらくて。
Okay.
すみません。指針の送り先を職場にして。
Nah, dude.
いや、いいさ。
I feel like he can do that. I mean, I guess it probably depends on the workplace.
確かに最近泊まり込みの連続だしな。俺にも責任がある。それより。
Mino suddenly asked a quick question when he noticed the destination line on the envelope.
別に名前をひらがなで書かなくても間違えたりはしないのにな。巴って字が読めないやつなんてそんなにいないぞ。
Huh.
あ、違います。
I don't really know the difference between kanji and hiragana. I'm not versed in the Japanese languages. Maybe one
私
day.
の本名、実はひらがな書きなんです。
え？
だから学生時代は南井巴ってひらがなで書いていました。
I mean, I guess I can just, that's an interesting doodle. Kanji versus hiragana. Hiragana is used for native Japanese function words. Katakana is used for borrowed words from other languages. And kanji are Chinese origin characters that have been adapted to the Japanese language. Alright, so kanji is like what they generally use. Hiragana is used for native Japanese function words. So, like, I guess stuff they couldn't use for kanji, like words created in Japan, like specifically. I don't know what the fuck katakana mean, borrowed words. In a sense, hiragana is mostly commonly used standard form of Japanese writing. Japanese vocabulary usually tends to be written in hiragana as opposed to katakana. Also, hiragana is used to write furigana, a reading aid that shows pronunciation of kanji characters. Should I learn hiragana or kanji? You should learn hiragana first, followed by katakana and kanji. Okay, I always thought kanji was like the main one, just because that's what you hear. Like a lot of people reference kanji when they reference Japan. I don't know, just in my experience. So apparently hiragana is the OG one. So cool.
漢字の巴に変えたのは警察学校に入ってからです。
そうなのか。しかし、なんで親からもらった名前を変えたんだ？ああ、いや、この質問は僭越だったな。
And that's why it's her real name. Thinking he was prying too deep into personal territory, Mino raised his hand and said sorry, intending to cut off this line of conversation. However... Sorry, I need to plug something. Awkward time to stop. However, Tomoe thought for a moment, then slowly shook her head and interrupted him.
警察学校を受験するとき、祖母が教えてくれたんです。私の父は本当は私の名前を 漢字の巴にしたかったんだって。源平合戦に出てくる女豪傑の巴御前
Who
に
the
やかっ
fuck's
たそうです。
Tomoe Dozen? Sorry, when I see something interesting like this, I just like to Google it. So I'm not a Googler then. I'm an avid Googler. Tomoe Dozen. Oh, Oh, I think they made a drama of this. One of those like big, long ass dramas. Anna Musha. She served. Oh, Yoshin. Da, da, da. TV. Isn't there like a huge? Who's also an FGO servant? Whatever, I don't care. Okay, cool. One of the generals serving under Genji was Minamoto no Yoshinaka, and his wife was Tomoe Dozen. They say she even dressed in armor and wielded a long sword to fight her foes. So he wanted his firstborn daughter to be a woman with a strong will and a courageous heart. Fair enough. And that was why her father had decided to name his daughter Tomoe.
でもお母さんはそれに反対だったみたいですね。勇ましい女の子より可
Damn.
愛い女の子に育ってもらいたいって。
Well, I mean, she is kind of cute, but I think she's more heroic than cute. So it kind of mixed well, at
それ
least.
に学校の友達にも読みやすい名前の方がきっと変なあだ名もつけられなくていいはずだと。だからひらがなが気になったんですよ。
It was the same with her sister, Madoka. In fact, he wanted to use the kanji for yen when writing her name since it came from her mother's name. Even if those were trivial considerations, Tomoe could tell how much her parents loved her and felt deeply grateful.
それでも今の私に必要なのは優しさでも女らしさでもない。強い意志と勇気。
True.
そして父さんの意志を継ぐことなんだ。
True. That's why Tomoe changed her name to the one her father gave her. It was proof of her determination. And in a sense, it was like a ritual for hammering an indomitable will into herself.
のぶみさんらしいね。
Nobumi?
え?
Does she still not know
そういや見ない。長官官房の官房長が今度お前と
about
話したい
his
って言ってたぞ。
relationship?
お前が鹿島大って聞いて OB として激励したいんだったさ。
官房長がですか？
Look at that face.
ああ。それでお前に相談があるんだが。
Oh shit. Maybe we'll get to see what he's asking in the next step. Alright, that was a good one. A nice long one to start. Ba, ba, ba. Ba, ba. Okay, so what is next? We got Drunken Boss's True Identity. What a title. Alright. I don't think I've seen that one. Yeah, it's in the. We haven't really touched this fourth page, right? Have we? No, we've seen receipt and ticket, right? Or have we? Yeah, that was what's their face dying. Alright. Drunken Boss's True Identity. What does this even mean? Maybe Mino's drunk and reveals his relationship? I chased my drowsiness away with a can of coffee while driving through a downtown area in the dead of night, dimly lit by the streetlights.
今日は寮に帰って溜まった洗濯物を片付ける予定だったのに。
Running the washing machine in the middle of the night will annoy the neighbors, but I was long overdue for a change of clothes. Yeah, fuck the neighbors, man. Give me some freshies. Even though I've been working so hard that I haven't had time to stop at home, a lady neglecting her hygiene would call her abilities into question. Excuse me. With that in mind, I quickly wrapped up my work and then checked the timetable for the last train right as I was about to head home. But unfortunately, I received a call from the bar where Maino-san was at. It was the shopkeeper saying, "This man is passed out drunk, please pick him up."
いい年して酒に飲まれてるんじゃないわよ。
Hey, you're never too old to get blackout drunk. Although Maino-san himself had apparently asked for me by name, so maybe I should at least be pleased that he trusts me enough to handle situations like this. Unless he was asking for her dad. Asked for Manai-san. Or should I scold him for taking advantage of my position? I was feeling rather conflicted. While thinking it over, I noticed a store sign come into view. Oh. He is fucking sloshed.
ご苦労であるじゃありませんよ。何やってんですかもう。
I parked the car on the side of the road and got out. Then I rushed over to Maino-san sitting in front of the store with an astonished expression on my face. His suit jacket was laying on the ground, all crumpled up. There was no tie around his neck, and his shirt looked shabby too. It was like seeing a drunken father. When I thought about how I was going to have to drive him home, a gloomy feeling came over me, and I wanted to hold my head. Jesus.
バカ言ってないで早く立ってください。こんなところに座り込んで陣取ってたらお店の営業妨害です。それにあんまり騒がしいと近くのおまわりさんが来ちゃいますよ。
やれるもんなら連れて行ってもらおうじゃん。警察官をしょっぴいて恥かいても俺は知らねえからな。
No, you're definitely the one who should be embarrassed here. After muttering that to myself, I decided to just say, okay for the time being. Trying to treat a drunkard like a sober man is just a massive headache waiting to happen. Really intimidating. The nuts right above me. That's a good line.
偉いのはよくわかっていますから、これ以上警察の威信を下げるような発言は控えてください。こんなところをマスコミの人とかに嗅ぎつけられたらことですよ。マスコミが怖くて殺が務まるかって。
True-ish.
逆にこっちが冤罪ふっかけて。
No, don't do that.
ダメだこりゃ。始末に追えない。
I seriously thought about just leaving him here and going home, but that would just make things difficult in the future, so I let out a deep sigh. Anyway, I've been working in the public relations office for a while now, and had a lot of respect for Maino-san, but this incident today might be putting an end to that. Maybe I should just refuse to work any overtime for a while.
そもそもなんでここまでお飲みになられたんですか？接待慣れして俺は酒に強いって前に豪語されていたくせに。飲みすぎるといろんな人に迷惑かかるっておっしゃっていたのは前野さんですよ。
まあまあ警部さん、今日だけは勘弁してやってくださいな。
After saying that, the old man who had been looking after Maino-san until now, apparently the shopkeeper cut in with a bitter smile on his face and tried to calm me down. Apparently this old man had a close relationship with Mino-san.
今日だけってですが
前野さんがこんなに酔うのは本当に久しぶりでね。だいたいとんでもなく嫌なことがあった時なんですよ。これくらいの憂さ晴らしは多めに見てやってください。
嫌なことあ
After hearing that, a thought came to me. There was an inquiry meeting the other day in response to an investigation committee report. Oh, bad news? It was 2 years ago. There was an incident where a young boy was kidnapped on his way home. As expected, the boy's parents received a call that night demanding ransom. And after making contact with the parents, the police sought an agreement with the mass media to keep the investigation confidential so they could focus their attention on searching for the hostage and arresting the perpetrator. However, they couldn't grasp any clues, and the culprit disappeared immediately after the ransom was handed over. On top of that, they never found the young hostage, and the investigation completely stalled. Wait, so he got away with the money and they never got the hostage back? Damn, that's a big fuck up. What the heck? They gave the money and they didn't even get the boy back. And then just the other day, 2 years after the incident had passed, a man arrested for some other misdemeanor confessed to kidnapping during the questioning. He said he killed the boy immediately after escaping and buried him in the graveyard of a temple in Tokyo. That's really fucked. Based on that information, the investigators headed to the scene and discovered the skeletal remains just as the subject testified. The curtain closed on this 2-year incident in the worst way possible.
犯人逮捕に時間がかかったのは
Yep,
警察の手落ちと言われて
'cause they
仕方が
did.
ない
They fucked up.
問題になったのは報道協定のタイミングだった
After that, an investigative committee was assembled mainly for the personnel department of the National Police Agency for the sake of finding out the reason they failed to adequately investigate this kidnapping murdering case. According to their reports, nearby residents of the city where the culprit fled to had apparently identified him as a suspicious person very early on. In other words, they were asserting that if information hadn't been blocked by the press agreement, or if the agreement was promptly overturned, it may have been possible to not only arrest the criminal, but save the hostage's life too. Okay, it's a tricky situation. I can understand not wanting to alert the press. It's easier to like keep this like line going so there's like a line of trust. But I do agree, maybe after that person ran away with the money and you didn't get the kid back, then you probably should have lifted it right away. But I do agree with their initial blocking. I think that's kind of smart. Because then it's really hard to make a deal when everyone knows about it, right? And so the mass media criticized the police investigation system, saying their mismanagement of the press agreement is what allowed the criminal to escape. Well, obviously the mass media would say that too. And then even amongst the police, it became par of the course to blame the person who gave the order, and Mino-san was being singled out in the inquiry meeting as the one who submitted the press agreement to the chief cabinet secretary. Damn, he's getting shafted. Mino-san was likely enacted the information block early on to prioritize saving the hostage, delayed the termination of the agreement even after the ransom was delivered in order to avoid psychologically provoking the criminal. I guess that's also kind of smart. But I don't know. When he escapes with the money and the kid, I think it's all. I think you just gotta go balls to the walls, but I don't really know, to be fair. But since this ended in the worst possible outcome, he was facing criticism that he made the wrong decision. Thinking about how absurd and unreasonable that was, I felt completely disconsolate.
落ち込んでいないふりしていたけどやっぱり辛かったんだ
Of course, it wasn't about getting a poor review. I like to think I'd learned over the past month that he wasn't sort of the person to care about that. So the reason he was depressed, he needed to drown it with alcohol, was likely because he was thinking about the feelings of the victim's family.
うーん。
前野さん、帰りますよ。立てますか？
After saying that, I tossed my arm behind Mino-san's back, and with the help of the shopkeeper, we got him back on his feet. Then I opened the passenger side door, and the two of us sat him down on the seat, and I went to pick up his suit laying on the ground and wipe the dirt off it. Rather than a wallet, I found his police notebook in his inside jacket pocket. She can't just leave this out for someone to steal it.
あれ？
When I suddenly looked at the photo in his police notebook, I was shocked. It seemed to be a picture of a young Mino-san in his early days as a detective. And,
お父さん。
yep, there's no way I could mistake my biological father. It was Yusuke Minai. My dad was standing right beside Mino-san. I thanked the old man from the store, then started my car. The national highway in the downtown area was always packed during the daytime, but the traffic was rather sparse this late in the night. If things stayed like that, I'd be able to reach Mino-san's house before dawn. I gripped the steering wheel and carefully watched the traffic lights and oncoming vehicles while driving down the road and took a quick glance at the passenger seat. Mino-san was sunken into his seat, snoring while sleeping soundly. I figured he'd lose his glasses if he left them on, so I pulled them back off his face and slipped them into my breast pocket.
やっぱり。
Seeing him without glasses, I felt something connect from deep within my memories. He was always wearing those thick-framed glasses, so I never noticed now, but I remember meeting this man before I even became a police officer. But where on earth was it? Where did I meet Mino-san?
あ、
That's right, I remember. There was a young detective who sometimes accompanied Dad when he came home after a late night out drinking. Dad was older for him, but for some reason he consistently addressed this man with honorific speech. I always thought that was weird. But Mom told me not to ask him too much about police work when he's at home, so we never knew why that was. And to answer that, yes, as of today, I finally felt like I understood.
うーん。見ないさ。
Suddenly, Mino-san murmured something in his sleep. Mino-san was older than me and of a higher rank, so he had no reason to address me using san, which meant the Minai-san he was referring to was, no doubt,
大丈夫っすよ、見ないさ。あいつは、あんたの娘は、俺がしっかり偉くしてみせますから。ほんと、あんたにそっくりで。
前野さん。
My eyes were getting heated, so I started blinking more than usual. The neon signs of the city shining in through the windshield suddenly started to blur together. Nice. It's a cute way to reveal their past stuff. Alright, let's do one more. Those were two long ones, huh? One more for the road, short or long, it do not matter. We're on number 21, Gone with the Ashes. Ooh. That's right here. Perfect. I entered the room and headed to the bath, then gestured Mino-san to the empty sofa and took a seat in the folding chair across from it. That moment, the suffocating feeling I'd been accumulating suddenly released all at once, and the strength drained from my entire body. I was tired and nervous. This may have been the first time in my life I had to be careful about my attitude and remarks. I don't even remember what the questions they asked.
お疲れさん。どうだ？初めての広報プレゼンの自己採点は。
Ooh, first time interacting with the media as like the head, I guess. Or talker.
0点です。
Presenter.
ほう、謙虚というか、えらく弱気だな。初めてという割になかなか度胸が座って、説明もわかりやすくまとまっていたと思うんだが。
でも突っ込まれどころが満載で、まだまだ調査不足でした。前野さんがあそこでフォローしてくださらなかったらどうなっていたことか。
まあそういう意味では満点には程遠いか。大負けに
That's why we're a team.
ありがとうございます。
I can only interpret Mino-san's praise as flattery, but for the time being I turned to him and bowed my head. But no matter how I looked at it, it wasn't a good result or even passable. If I were the one doing the grading, I'd give it failing marks and demand supplementary training. Damn.
情けない。
A sense of introspection and self-loathing came over me, so I clung to my head. I've wanted to turn back time and try again many times before, but I'm not sure if I've ever felt that as strongly as I did today. Up until now, I've always tried to present a fearless personality when I enter the big stage. But I was reminded once again that I was still immature and struggled with situations outside my expectations. If I had been alone on that stage like we originally planned, I might have broken down in tears. I get that. Public presentation stuff is definitely not my thing, especially if they start asking questions. I'm like, oh shit. There are people out there with far more knowledge and experience than me. Scholarly. Why is that so hard to say? People with deep insights and analytical skills. I never realized how difficult it is to offer explanations and make suggestions for people like that.
心のどこかでうぬぼれていたんだと思います。研究所の所長と総務部長が絶賛してくれたから、その勢いでいけるかなって。すみませんでした。
そんなに落ち込むな。プロファイリング分析の現場導入については、ほとんど反対意見や不足点への指摘がなかったじゃないか。
In fact, it will one day, I say one day, but it's pretty soon in the story, will turn into a big thing.
犯罪心理学と毎日向き合っている連中相手にそこまでやれたんだ。もっと胸を張れ。
Mino-san handed me a can of coffee he bought from the vending machine as he said that. It was cold, so when I grabbed it, I held it against my forehead to relieve the burning feeling inside my head and started to calm down a little.
まあ、連中も単純にプロファイリング分析の試験導入の話だと思って、割と楽観的に構えていたようだしな。テレビ局が介入してくるなんて予想外だったんだろうさ。
確かに難色を示されるとは覚悟しておりましたが、科警研の方々は最新の犯罪知識や情報と日々
Yeah, like we doodled that before.
メディアの力を十分に理解なさっていると期待していただけに、正直意外な思いです。それともまだテレビ媒体は低俗なものとみなされているのでしょうか。
それもあるだろうが、一番の問題はテレビに出せば失敗した際に
That is true.
言い訳ができないってことだろう。初めのうちは小規模な、そして成功率の高い事件で試験運用することで点数を稼ぎ、
Slow and steady
信用度を得た上で
sort of way. It's pretty smart when doing big moves like this.
しかしテレビで流されるとなるとどうしても話が大掛かりなものになってしまう。成功すれば評判は一気に上がるが、失敗すれば今まで慎重に研究を重ねてきたものが全部ぶち壊しになるかもしれない。成功した時の後悔よりもリスクの方を警戒する。原点主義の研究畑の人間にはよくあるマイナス思考だよ。
Minus store.
そんな顔をするな。そもそも考え方や価値観のズレというよりも文化そのものが違うんだ。
I definitely don't. The way you described it, it sounds fine when you're making something, implementing something big, and you're like a government body. I feel like you shouldn't go all in at the beginning, usually, and just take it small.
法医学の分野は法学の
And
分
then
野
slow
と
and
一緒。
steady wins the race.
実際には医学や心理学の類、科警研の職員と会った奴らはみんな最初その違いに戸惑うらしいぞ。
実際私もちょっと驚きました。
NRIPS, the National Research Institute of Police Science. Yep. Then an organization filled with the National Police Agency, responsible for developing forensic technology and investigation theory necessary to conduct scientific investigations in order to counter increasingly sophisticated and intelligent criminals. And this time, thanks to being introduced to the Secretariat of the Commissioner of the National Police Agency, who just happened to attend the same university as me, I was able to ask for researchers to be assigned on certain tasks. We did hear about this in the last arc, I think, at the end. Based on the material I provided the other day, we would conduct a trial operation of profiling analysis in the field, and the progress of the operation would be televised with the help of key TV stations.
プロファイリング分析の捜査内容をマスコミに公開する？
はい。現在未解決のまま迷宮入りになりかけている事件をサンプルにして、その犯人の存在と足跡を調査する経緯と手法を問題のない範囲内でテレビ局側に提供します。そこでこのマニュアルを導入することで、捜査がいかに効率化されたものになるかをアピールする番組を制作・放映してもらうのです。それによって世間的な認知度が向上すれば、全国の警察関係者たちもプロファイリングに対して関心を寄せて、導入に前向きな姿勢になってくれるのではないか。そう私ども広報室は考えました。その上での今回のご提案です。
The researchers participating in the presentation were stunned when they heard that, and made no effort to hide their confusion. Introducing profiling analysis to on-site investigations was something NRIPS had already considered many times before. But with nothing to prove its efficiency, it was always brushed aside. Moreover, since there are very few experts capable of teaching the methodology, they've been putting off the idea for a long time. But the other day, a female police officer working for the Public Relations Office freely provided them with a manual that could be used as an instructional reference, so introducing it into on-site investigations once again became a topic of discussion. Up until that point, it was something NRIPS could hardly even dream of, so they weren't quick to agree with the idea of broadcasting its contents on TV.
試験導入ならば、テレビやマスメディアを介入させるのは少々大げさではないかね。データ収集を主目的に置いて、組織はシンプルにまとめた方が良いと思うが。
それに、警察の捜査技術を公開するのはリスクが高い。
That is true, honestly. I don't know. I kind of agree with the researchers.
犯罪者に裏をかかれる危険性についても考慮すべきだろう。
I get like, because Tomoe's reasoning is so like with the attention it gets and how it works, other police officers would be more willing to try it. But it seems like a weird way to like get other police officers to try it. I feel like they should just start doing like classes or initiatives to try it rather than influencing them by them seeing it on TV.
確かに皆様のご懸念はもっともだと思います。しかしこれまで意見交流会などでもプロファイリング分析についての
They should
勉
just
強
like,
が何度となく行われました
I don't
が
know.
実際の事件現場にて導入された例は皆無です。また信用度の基礎となるデータを収集しようにも現場捜査員たちの賛同と協力を得ることができず宙に浮いた理論となっておりました。それはやはり知識や技術の有用性よりもイメージの欠如が一番の要因だったのではないでしょうか。
I get it, and I think that it would like influence the general public, but again, it's a weird way to make other police officers want to try it. Based on reading the papers and manuals on profiling analysis, it was hard to tell how efficient it actually was and difficult to grasp how useful it might be. Also, an experienced detective has the intuition and skills they've gained over time that increase their efficiency, but that doesn't mean they'll understand how to fit it into their methods. True. With that in mind, even after collecting data in this trial operation, investigators presented with the results may not understand how to utilize it and may decide to just put it off. But what if profiling analysis is actually introduced to the field investigators via a video documentary? At that point, an experienced detective would likely be able to understand which points are important and how it differs from conventional investigation. Why not just make it a documentary that doesn't air on TV? Just send them, like, again, an instructional video in the form of a documentary to other stations. I don't get why you need to make it public for now. And it would allow them to make their own modifications to tweak it better to fit the image of their own investigation methods. I just don't agree. It's just a weird way of doing things. In other words, to make a mathematical analogy, this program exists to show examples of the use of certain formulas and theorems to people who would otherwise have no idea where and when to use them. Yeah, that's great. Just you don't need to put that on TV. And a video is the easiest method to understand. Just don't put it on TV. Don't air it. Just send it to them. Just send them some VHSs or whatever. I don't get it. I guess you would need to hire people to film it, which I guess if you loop that into like a television program, it might be easier, but I don't know, man.
それにしてもなぜあなた方広報室がそんな企画を。あなたたちには今回何のメリットもない話じゃありませんか。そうです。それにそもそもそういった番組企画を立てるという行為は明らかに候補としての職務を逸脱していると思います。
Well, you bozos aren't doing anything to push profiling.
一体あなたたちはそれによって何を得るおつもりなのですか。
She wants to implement it because she thinks it would be better for the police force.
ああ、その点につきましては説明が不足しておりました。今回の企画はむしろ警察庁長官官房長、
Okay.
警察庁本部からの提案を現場に浸透させるための方策とご理解ください。
There you go. That's one way to push your point. Say that it's already been approved by some of the higher ups.
広報室はその意向を組んで皆様にご相談申し上げているだけなのです。
That's why he's the boss. Minor-san, who had been sitting quietly beside me, cut in at the perfect time to save me from fumbling for the right words. And then he gave me a look before continuing.
プロファイリング分析は今後の科学捜査にとって非常に役立つ捜査理論になると以前より評価されてきました。ただ現場の方々は今までの勘と経験に頼ったやり方を変えるだけのメリットがあるのか。
Like, I agree. I agree with Maino and Tomoe. This is like an important thing, and it would be hard to integrate, especially with people with a lot of police experience already because they already have their own methods. I just don't see why you needed television to make it a public documentary. Just make a program for it to integrate with it. You can have your video showing how it works, do some tests with like real cases in the video. Like it it sounds good. I just don't see why you need to put it on TV. Because the way that it's like showing in my mind is they're gonna put it on TV, and then the detectives from other stations are gonna watch it, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, that's pretty cool. Maybe I should try it." It's just it's such a weird roundabout way.
長官官房長もそういった状況を打破することこそが必要と考えておりましたので、今回の企画ご提
Mino
案
did
はありだったわ
definitely
けです
save this though. He's popping off.
ええ、それは所長と総務部長より聞き及んでおります。ただ、広報がなぜ官房長のサポートを？長官官房からのご依頼は、通常ならば制作企画から通達いただくものと理解しておりましたが。
適材活用ですよ。ここにいる南警部はもともと現場の刑事でした。もっと遡りますと、数年前に欧米で研究されているプロファイリング分析の存在を最初
Honjo,
に警察庁の意見交換会で紹介したのが
not to be confused
現
with
在の
Hojo.
茨城県警捜査一課長本庄警視。そして彼女はその本庄一課長の下で約3年間働き、推薦組として選抜された際には彼の口添えがあったほどの逸材です。
As soon as Mino-san mentioned Hanjo-san's names, the eyes of the researchers transformed from disdain and distrust to a hint of interest and curiosity. In fact, I didn't know about it until he told me my former boss, Hanjo-san, was one of the most respected experts on profiling and analysis. Oh, there you go. Excuse me. Hanjo-san had actually published papers on improvements to criminal investigation methodologies and shared them at NPA-sponsored exchange meetings, campaigning for their necessity.
そんなに偉い人だったんだ。
I keenly realized what a blessed environment I had lived in. In fact, if I hadn't had the opportunity to work under Hanjo-san, I wouldn't know anything about profiling, even today. Despite my thoughts racing, Mino-san looked at the changed expressions on the researchers, then leaned forward and continued.
実際彼女が皆さんにご提供申し上げた資料は、その本庄氏が携わってきた事件記録が元になっており、彼の許可と
There we
協
go. We
力
got
なし
their
には
sweet
成し得ない
spot.
ものでした。この点からも、ここにいる南警部が現場捜査員たちとの強いつながり、それも有力な人材とのコネクションを現在も所持していることを信用してもらえるかと思います。故に、皆さんの意向や方針を伝達する仲介役としては最も適任ではないかと考えた長官の指示で、本企画の担当者とさせていただいた次第なのです。
Soma?
確かに現場の捜査
Who
員
the
たちの
fuck
反発を
Soma?
いかにして防ぐかが我々の一番大きな課題でした。そのつてを持っている人に仲介してもらえるのは非常に心強いです。
そして先ほど広報室としてのメリットとおっしゃいましたが、我々はご存知の通り、警察の各機関の活動内容や捜査情報を集約し、それを特定、あるいは不特定の方面へと差し向けるのが本来の職分です。故に我々にとっては、警察庁長官官房長が打ち出したプロファイリング分析を現場へと導入させるという方針表明を
Fair
効
enough.
率的に現場へと浸透させることが今回の役割。それに従っただけのことですので、特にメリット、まして利益的なものを求めるものではないと考えております。他に何かご不安を抱かれているものはありますか？我々としては同じ警察庁の仲間ですから、できる限りそれらを解消するお手伝いをしたいと考えております。どうぞご遠慮なくおっしゃってください。
いや、よくわかりました。そういった疑念を取り払って考えれば、確かに今回の企画は科警研にとっても良い話です。
After saying that, the researcher dressed in a white coat sitting in the head seat smiled and nodded while turning to the others to get their agreement. Looking at the name tag, his last name was Soma. I later learned from Mino-san that he was a powerful man with an authoritative role in forensic medicine.
この企画につきまして
Nice.
は、これから研究所の幹部を交えた上で内容を吟味し、後日改めてご返事させていただきます。本日はありがたいご提案と長時間のご説明をいただきまして、ありがとうございました。
The director politely thanked Mino-san and myself. But I was the one who should be grateful for them for offering us an opportunity to explain things, so I quickly bowed back to him.
本当に助かりました。
Yeah, he definitely helped a lot.
前野さんが助け舟を出してくれなかった。
Good job,
どうなっ
Mino.
ていたか。
俺は事実を言っただけだぞ。それに本当の意味でお前を後押ししてくれたのはむしろ本庄さんだ。
True.
今度は改めてお礼を言っておけよ。
はい。
In cases like that, it's important to remember that personal strength and talent are less important for winning the trust of others than personal connections and titles. That is true, sadly. I mean, not sadly. It is true. I used to feel an inferiority complex about that, but that's undeniably the truth. So now I'm grateful for the people who have helped me and try to avoid being overconfident in myself, or being overconfident in myself. Bit overconfident. And crave self-discipline into my heart so that I never forget that attitude.
今日はこのまま寮に直帰していいぞ。ここしばらくあまり寝てないんだろ。
あ、でも疲れなのはむしろ。
俺のことは気遣わなくてもいい。気まぐれに首を突っ込んで、その場の思いつきで勝手に口を挟んでいただけだからな。ちょうどいい憂さ晴らしだったよ。
でも私、前野さんのフォローがなければ、広報がなんで口出ししてくるって言われたとき、とっさに反論ができなかったと思います。本当にありがとうございます。
虎の意を借りるのは狐の得意技だ。王道を言うお前さんには真似は無理。というか、覚えなくてもいいことさ。
Mino-san tossed his empty coffee can into a nearby trash can. The throw was well controlled and accurate thanks to his time playing baseball.
ああ、あとは結果待ちだな。それほど時間をかけないと言ってたし、週明けには返答をもらえるだろう。それまでは今日のことを忘れて、いつもの仕事に励めよ。
どうなんでしょうか。あの資料と今日の説明で科警研は動いてくれるでしょうか。
そうだな。俺の見たところ五分五分。いやー、四分六分といったところ。
Oof. That's lower than I thought. I thought they were down. Guess there's more hoops for them to jump through.
4ですか。
不満か？まあ、それでも最後まで質問が絶えなかったことを鑑みれば上々の出来だった。お前さんはよくやったと思うぞ。
すみません。
あ？
広報室にとって今回のプロジェクト提案はほとんど見入りがないものと分かっています。逆に余計な作業を増やしてしまうことになるかもしれません。なのに長官官房長や科警研の偉い人に口添えをしてもらって。
The initial motivation for this was the case from 3 months ago, because I wanted to investigate the case of Nagisa Ozaki's son's death and find out more about the key witness Reina Ryudu. I realized it was based on my own lingering regrets. But when I happened to contact Fujita-kun a few days ago and heard the progress on the case, it was unbearable. The incident still held mysteries the police couldn't comprehend, and though I'd like to be involved, I'm stuck here doing busy work. This case is not over yet, and even now there might still be something I can do. I wanted to do my best to respond to the feelings of the late Ozaki-san. When I reached that decision, I assembled a plan that clearly deviated from the public relations office's usual line of work. Honestly, I was prepared for Mino-san to push back when I first submitted the proposal to him. Still, I put all my heart into it and planned to bet on that chance, even if the probability of success was only 1%. Still, but surprisingly enough, Mino-san approved of the plan right from the get-go. In fact, he even spoke to the commissioner and the director of NRIPS about it, turning my pipe dream of a project into something feasible.
ただでさえ多忙な立場の人なのに。
And I know the reason Mino-san cares about me so much. That's why I was grateful for the depths of his feelings, but more than that, I was sorry.
なあ未来、お前肺吹き法って知ってるか？
Copulation process.
肺吹き法
I don't know what that word is.
戦国時代とかで行われていた
Thought he said copulation, which is very different than what she's saying right now. The topic came completely out of the blue, so I felt lost as I answered. Mino-san said, "You're very knowledgeable," before continuing his
鉱
story.
山から掘り出された金の鉱石は一見ただの石ころとほとんど変わりない。それを砕いてふるいにかけ、煮えたぎった鉛の中に放り込ん
Crushed
で
it, sifted, then melted in
そ
boiling
してその
lead.
溶けた液状の混合金属を灰と混ぜ合わせるこ
Oh,
とで
that's where the title of the tip comes from.
誰が考え出したか知らんが大したやり方だ。灰はそれ単体では土ぼこりと同じくどこにでもあるものだ。だがそれがなければ、金は鉛と混じり合ったまま、本来の存在価値を発揮することができない。俺たちスタッフはその灰だと昔教えられたことがあった。
Any organization has people in important positions who are more or less ambitious and upward rising with their own selfish desires. Those people try to make others recognize their great abilities and the value of their existence, sometimes even taking risks trying to achieve something. But if their selfish actions are taken too far and become self-righteous, or even risk becoming tyrannical, in some cases that can be detrimental to the organization. It's easy to deny them and reject that, but shutting them down in an overly high-pressure way can offend the person and reduce their motivation, ultimately losing out on some of the utility they could have brought. In which case it would be better to keep them under control and steer them in the right direction. Assembling the tactics and strategies behind a combat unit while considering the strengths and weaknesses of your staff and leading them to apply those skills effectively, that was the role of the staff officer.
実際そういった才能のある連中と代替して同じことができるほどスタッフは偉いわけじゃない。だから引け目もあるし、命令を下す資格があるかと言われたら反論できない。かといって、自分の能力のみを信じる彼らの好き勝手にやらせていたら、それはもう組織とは呼べん。第一本来の能力も発揮できないだろう。
ええ、確かにその通りです。
しかし逆に、そのスタッフが下り顔でふんぞり返ったり、傲慢に見下した態度を取れば当然現場の彼らは面白く感じるわけがない。まして自分の点数稼ぎのために彼らの手柄や名声を横取りするようなことがあったら、誰もその命令に従ったりしなくなる。だからスタッフは常に裏方として、表には出ない存在であらねばならない。うまくいけば、華々しい手柄や名声は全て彼らのもの。俺たちスタッフは黙ってその祝勝会から去るだけさ。未来、そういう生き方、お前はどう感じる？自分が前に立たなければ気が済まないか？それとも組織のため、そして何か別の大きなもののために無視になれるか？
私は。
Watashi wa?
ま、暇な時にでも考えてみるといいさ。そんじゃ俺は次の打ち合わせがある。お前はゆっくり休め。お疲れさん。
After saying that, Mino-san left the break room. I watched him from behind as he went and silently gazed up at the ceiling for a while longer. And boom, we're gonna wrap up there. Only 3 tips done today, but they were long ones, so good stuff. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching as always, and I'll see you next time on some more Higurashi. Later.